he was a very respectable man, and he kind of thought a lot about himself, and he wanted, like, all the servants who were serving on the gate to kind of bow low, like he was an important person or something. But Mordecai, he was one of those people, being a servant of God, who did not bow low or prostrate himself to Haman, because who was he? You know what I mean? He was just a court official. You're no one special. And Haman went up to Mordecai and said, "Why are you ignoring the king's commandment?" But it wasn't a command for him to bow low. It was just him being, prideful, I guess, of his position. And day after day, Haman would ask him, basically, "Yo, why aren't you bowing down? I'm important." But Mordecai wouldn't, and he wouldn't even listen to him. He would just, like, stare straight ahead. And he couldn't tolerate it anymore, Mordecai's conduct. And for that, Mordecai told him, "I'm not bowing down to you because I'm a Jew." And basically he's saying, "I'm not bowing down to you because you're not God. I only bow down to God." And because he refused to bow down to him, Haman got super, super angry. And because he couldn't get rid of the thought of doing away with Mordecai, he wanted to do one even better in his mind and get rid of Mordecai's people, meaning the Jews. So he sought to annihilate all the Jews that were in the 127 provinces that were under King Ahasuerus' control. So Haman went to King Ahasuerus on the 12th month, that is Adar. And he went to Ahasuerus and said, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of your realm, whose laws are different from those of all other peoples, and they do not obey the king's laws, and it is not in the king's interest to let them be." So he's basically telling them, really, they're not really important, so let's just do away with them. They're not following your law, so you might as well just kill them. They're a bother. So King Ahasuerus thought what Haman said was good. So he made the decree up and signed it with his signet ring, which is like an equivalent of a stamp, an ink stamp. And the decree was set out in the city that the Jews, young and old alike, children and women, on a single day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, they were to be killed and to have their possessions seized. And a copy of this decree was issued to everyone. So even the Jews knew about this themselves. So when Mordecai found out about this, he became very distraught. He went out into the middle of the city. He began crying and screaming and loudly crying, and he was very bitter. And but he only went out as far as the king's gate. For what he was wearing, no one was allowed any further than that. So eventually he went to Esther, and he told Esther, "Your husband signed a decree to have our people killed." But at this point, King Ahasuerus did not know that his wife, Queen Esther, who he loved very much, was a Jew, and he was in fact planning to kill her people, which included her because she was also a Jew. And Mordecai told Esther, "You have to tell King Ahasuerus to take back this decree and tell him who concocted this plan," which was Haman, his court official. And Mordecai, being blunt in a loving way, he told her, don't be fooled that just because you're his wife and queen that you're exempt from this decree. She was still a Jew, which meant that she also would be killed. No matter that King Ahasuerus loved her. But Esther told her uncle, you know that it is the law that if anyone who appears before the king without being summoned is to be put to death immediately, unless he holds out his golden scepter in pardon. But Esther had not been summoned by the king for 30 days. So that means that Esther hadn't seen her husband for a month. So risking going to see the king without being summoned, she was risking her life. But she did. And she did in behalf of her people very bravely. And she went in before the king. And he held out the golden scepter, which means to me that he really loved her because he could have killed her. You know, who knows? But he held out the golden scepter, which means he forgave her for coming in kind of like unannounced. Like, I didn't call for you, but because I love you, you know, you can come in. And he said, is there something that I can do for you? Make a request, and even if it's a part of my kingdom, I'll give it to you. But all Esther said was, if it pleases you, my king, I would like you to come to a banquet that I have planned, and I would like you to attend with your court official Haman. So, and she planned for this the next day. So the next day came, and King Ahasuerus, along with the court official Haman, came to the banquet, and, you know, the banquet was really extravagant with gold and really rich foods. And at the end of the night, King Ahasuerus once again asked, is there something that I can give to you? Make a request, anything. Is there a petition you would like to make? And Queen Esther said, I would like for you tomorrow as well to come to a banquet, you, my king, along with Haman, your court official. So he said, it is done, kind of like you would expect a king to be like. So on the very next day, King Ahasuerus, along with Haman, went to Queen Esther's banquet, and it was even more extravagant than the one the night before. And at the end of the night, King Ahasuerus asked again, make a petition of me, and even if it's a part of my kingdom, it's yours, I'll give it to you. And Esther, very sneakily, I think, said, there is a man that has tricked you into signing a decree, and that decree is to kill me and my people, for I am a Jew. And I am asking you, if it pleases the king, that you do not do this, that you do not kill my people. And King Ahasuerus got really angry, and Haman got scared of Queen Esther because he didn't think that she would be so brave as to, one, come out as a Jew, and number two, to kind of like ask him to take back a decree, because in Persian law, once a king made a decree and signed it with his ring, the law was unbending. There was nothing that they could do to take it back. It was set in stone. And basically Haman thought, wow, this lady is a tough lady. I'm kind of scared. And King Ahasuerus, he got super angry, and he told Esther, tell me who it is, and I will fix this. And Esther said, it is no one other than your court official Haman. So the next day, Haman was hung up on a stake and killed. But since Persian law couldn't be reversed, King Ahasuerus made another decree saying that the Jews could fight back against those coming to kill them and take their possessions. So, even though there was a great slaughter on both sides, the Jews were able to not face extinction because they fought back, and they eventually saved themselves thanks to Queen Esther's help. And it's just a really nice story because Esther is such a brave woman, and even though she could have been killed at any moment during those 2 nights of banquets, and that appearing before King Ahasuerus unannounced, she did so for her people, for herself as well, but also for her uncle Mordecai, and it's just awesome to have that kind of bravery. So, I just wanted to share that with you, my favorite Bible story. So, I hope this helped you kind of relax, and I hope that you can go to sleep and have good dreams, and the next day, have bravery. So, be brave, my little warriors. Good night.